Hi, this is Mary Ann Patrick, and I'd like to share with you today a Smartboard notebook that is entitled Verbs. And as you can see from the first slide here, the lesson objectives, they have to do with grammar. Identify and use regular and irregular verbs, adverbs, prepositions, and coordinating conjunctions in writing and speaking. And this is a really fun lesson that would be good for first, second, maybe even third graders. And it's very interactive and it has a lot of fun graphics. So let's get started here. It starts with giving us a definition of a verb and telling us, I think this is really good that it means that the verb isn't just an action, like something physical, like jumping, running, screaming, swimming, that it also can be things that are slow, quiet things like thinking, listening, sleeping, dreaming. Has a very good definition to begin with. From here, it goes into an action verb quiz, which you can click on this and it will take you to a website where you can do a little review and figure out if you remember what verbs are. So if you look at the first one up here, it says, I gracefully jumped over the old rotten log. And what the student would do is come up here and unfortunately this isn't linked to the Smartboard, but they could say jumped. The action verb is jumped. So then they click on the downward arrow and they can see that yes, they were right. Jumped is the action verb. The second part of this quiz, ran, and, jump, think. Which one is not an action verb? The child will come up and say and is not an action verb. All the other things are action verbs. You click the downward menu and you can see that yes, and is the correct answer. And when you're finished with that, you can just go ahead and minimize it and go on to the next slide. The next slide shows you that all the helping verbs, and it lets you know that there are 23 of these verbs, and it goes through all of them. Am, are, is, I won't go through the whole list, but it has them right there for you to start with. Next, it goes into talking about the three principal parts of verbs. If you can ask the students at this point, do you know what that means? And if not, then have one of them come up and click and reveal each one. The first one is the present tense of the verb. And what is the present tense? It's happening now. And another way you can do this is to go from the bottom and try to guess the top one. So the next one we could look for the clue. The clue is it happened in the past. Past, the past tense, and used with the helping verbs have, has, or had, and that is the past participle. Going on to the next slide, regular verbs. Just kind of a review that most verbs are regular, and all you have to do is add a D or an ED to it to change it. So, for example, bake, you can add an ED or a D in this case, baked, and then the past participle would be have baked. So to practice those, students can come up to the board and drag the D where it's needed, when you just need to add a D to the verbs, like skated. The only other one is phoned. I noticed it would be nice if they had added a few more of those, like, you know, just to mix it up a little bit more. But all the rest of them are ED. The students can come over here and drag them and then read them afterwards. Found it. Next one is inform, and then come up and grab the ED and say informed. Okay, now we'll move on to the next slide. Irregular. So then they kind of throw in another little lesson here that ir is a prefix that means not or opposite of, so that you get the idea of what irregular means. It's not or opposite of being regular. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Irregular forms of verbs. They form their past tenses and past participles in other unpredictable ways. And they give a good example here of swim, swam in the past, and the past participle is have swum. So when we go to the next slide, we can do some practice with this. We can have different students come up for each line and practice and say the present is break, Now let's think, what would be the past on that? Broke. Let me see if I'm right. Yeah, I'm right. In the past participle, okay, it's going to be used with have, has, or had. So he has what? Broken. Let me check and see if that's right. Yep, that's right. And it mixes it up as you go along so that you know that the past was blue, and you have to think, wow, what would be the present of blue? Ah, is it blow? Well, let me check and see. Yep, it's blow. In the past participle, has blown. You check, there you go, you got it. You figure out if you've got it right or not. And the lesson gives quite a few of these. Some are a little tricky, like go. You have to think go, went, has, gone. So it goes on with several slides like this where you can practice. So you can get all of your students involved. Almost all of them will get a turn at trying one of these. So that goes on for quite a few slides, which is really good practice. Now this one I really enjoy. It's a lot of fun because you get to decide whether or not the ones on the bottom of the screen are regular verbs or irregular verbs. And what you can do is you take the verb bake. You think, bake. Can I just add a D or an ED? Yeah, I can just add a D to it, so I bet that's a regular verb. But let's just say that I wasn't sure and I said, I think that's, well, we'll start first and show you. Okay, I put it into the regular verbs. What happens? It disappears. And I get a new word takes its place. But let's go on to hop. Hop. Hopped. Have hopped. I know it's a regular, but let's say I was a little confused and I took it over and I tried to drag it over irregular verbs. What would happen? Whoa! It lets me know right away that I didn't get that right, so I bet that's a regular verb. And there you go, and it replaces itself. And they continue to generate new words, so once again almost everyone in the class will get a chance to come up here and try one of the verbs. And that one's really fun. The next slide has more practice if you have more time, or if you'd like to come back and start need to break up the lesson because it is a little bit long. But with this one you can click on the dot and it will take you to a website where you can practice what you just learned. And obviously this one's crashing on my browser, this particular one, so we'll go to a second one. Go to Chomp Chomp here. And this is fun. The only thing that's a little different is that it's not integrated exactly with the Smartboard, but if the student comes up to the board they can click where it says start here, they can click. And they can get some more practice this way by going through this particular website. It'd be nicer if they had integrated it into the Smartboard itself, the notebook, but it's still a fun and different way to test your knowledge. Moving on, then you can go back. And the next few slides, it looks like they are from the state testing. And so it gives you some practice, what you might find on the state test. And right here, you can go ahead and you can grab your Smartboard pen, and you can circle which one you think is the right one. And so you've got several examples here. These are not as catchy or as exciting to look at, but it gives them an idea of what they're going to see when they take a test. And we got a few more of those. And last but not least, they have, she has her credits. And it's a really fun notebook, and I enjoyed using it, and I think the students would really enjoy it too.